audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If on the other hand you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Thursday. That's right. And we've got the screen showing just like it should. Happy Thursday. Hey, we got a partners meeting tonight. Hope you can make it. You got to be a partner to be there. Be there or be square. No, seriously. If you've been on a free trial this week and you do want to be in the partners meeting tonight, Michael should have sent you an email already. I'm sure he did. If you didn't receive it or if you need it sent again, just send us an email. support@cfrn.net. We'll get that right out to you, and we'll see you in the meeting tonight. So, I hope it's a happy Thursday wherever you are. Let's take a quick look at the numbers and see just exactly what's going on. We'll start with the cash markets. The Dow is up 63 points. The NASDAQ is up 14 points. S&P 500 is up 6 3/4 points. And the Russell 2000 is up just over a point. So no big mover or shaker there. So let's move on. Crude oil's up $1.16. It's a big deal. That's over 2.5%. Gold is up $3.60. In Asia, we're mixed. The Nikkei down, wow, another 518 points. If this thing keeps going, they're going to run out of points. The Shanghai, to put it in perspective, that's a little over 3%. Shanghai is up almost 7 points. And the Hang Seng is down 76 points. In the European markets, the DAX is up 24 points, the FTSE is up 5 points, and the CAC 40 is down 5 points. So mixed in Europe, mixed in Asia. So far, all green here in the US of A. Now, wouldn't you know it? Even as Donald Trump becomes the presumptive presidential nominee of the Republican Party this week, a new poll, man, we need to get in the poll business. The new poll shows the Manhattan billionaire down by double digits in a potential general election matchup with Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton. The CNN ORC poll completed before Trump's massive win Tuesday in Indiana that knocked both Senators Ted Cruz and Governor John out of the race showed Clinton to hold a 13-point lead over Trump. That 54% to 41% lead was her largest in the poll since July. Clinton was more trusted than Trump on terrorism, immigration, foreign policy, education, healthcare, and the old favorite, climate change. Trump, meanwhile, was viewed as more trustworthy with handling the economy, which is the top issue for voters. They're more concerned about that than they are that long laundry list of items that I just read, even climate change. Both candidates are unpopular with the general public. Okay, so we're going to elect the one that we don't like the most. Or is that the least? About an even split of voters said they viewed Clinton favorably and unfavorably. Trump got unfavorable ratings from 56% of voters, while 41% said they viewed him favorably. The Real Clear Politics average of current polling has Trump down by 6.5 points. Last month, an electoral map projection from Morning Consult found that Clinton had a huge lead over Trump in the Electoral College as well. Clinton holds a virtually insurmountable lead against Senator Bernie Sanders, her lone remaining Democratic challenger. So, who you gonna vote for? Huh? JP Morgan on the move. Those guys have paid more fines in the last couple of years. Now they're going to make a big change in their corporate and investment bank. The bank has named David Hudson to the new role of Global Head of Markets Execution. Hudson will also become a member of the CIB management team. Now, Hudson was most recently Chief Financial Officer of Global Markets and has previously worked at fixed income and equities. Before joining JP Morgan, he worked in the internet and telecoms industry. His promotion is part of an effort by JP Morgan to adapt to changing market structures. He will work closely with the sales, trading, and research businesses and take responsibility for the bank's electronic distribution channels, according to the memo. In this new role, David will assess emerging trends, technologies, electronic platforms, and potential partnerships inside and outside the bank that could transform the way we and our clients do business. Now, JP Morgan's efforts in the past to prepare itself for changes to how the market operates. Trading is increasingly conducted over electronic platforms, and the fixed income marketplace in particular is changing at a pace. Speaking at the bank's Investor Day in February, Pinto said, "You cannot dictate how the clients, some of you, will decide to execute your transactions. What we can do is create all the avenues for you not to have a reason not to execute with us and going somewhere else." That's what this is all about. It's all a part of JP Morgan's plan to make sure it is prepared for the future. Business Insider reported late last year that the bank is aggressively investing in the next generation of technology like blockchain and robotics, and that the investment drive in these areas is part of its major priorities in 2016. You know, speaking of blockchain, we have to talk about the man who has come out of hiding, the man that created Bitcoin. He has finally unveiled himself. JP Morgan generated $5.7 billion in revenues in the markets and investor services business in the first quarter, down 13% from the first quarter of 2015. The decline was less steep than the drop in revenues recorded by its peers. So, there you go. JP Morgan, what fine will they pay next? I mean, Jamie Dimon, he's a real loose cannon. Speaking of loose cannons, Mike, are you ready?
I am.
All right. If Mike is ready, then we'll go ahead and move on to a recap of the live trading room. We had a great day today. Michael?
Yes, we did.
I'll hit mute and you can tell us all about it.
All right. I am ready. Here we go. The record button's not working yet. Hang on. Well, there we go. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 5th day of May, 2016. Let's see. Today in the live trading room, we lost 8 ticks on the euro, made 16 on the YM, 28 on gold, and 14 on soybeans. Today it took us 10 minutes and 2 trades to get to $100 a contract, and we took a total of 17 trades. Okay, so we're up, I think, 485 today. On the month now, we're up $1,747.50. That's for 4 trading days, averaging $436 a day. If you were to apply an $8 commission to every trade we've taken, you'd have a net profit of $1,283. If you were to apply a $5 commission to every trade we've taken, you'd have a net profit of $1,457. On the year, now we are up $21,705.75. That's over 83 trading days. We're now averaging $261 a day on the year. Okay. Now, if you have not taken a free trial with us, and you want to, just go to apply.cfrn.net, apply.cfrn.net, and fill out the little form. All right. Once you do that, you'll be sent all kinds of information about about getting into the live trading room and everything else. Another way to take the free trial, if you want to, is to go to our home page in the right-hand column, put in your name, put in your email, click on register for a free trial. Once you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click that confirmation link. Okay? All right. Let us get into the trades. We'll start out with gold here. Now, on gold. Our first trade on gold was back here. We had a break even on that. Okay, and it looks like I missed a couple of trades here. I had to restart DT Pro partway through this morning, so I ended up missing some of the drawings that I had put on there. Our second trade on gold was right here. We got 20 ticks profit on that one. See, it went from 81.8 all the way down to 78. So that was a few ticks right there. It went down and came back up so fast from right here that I ended up only getting 20 out of it. But it did this move down right here in about a second or two. And I was trying to put my stop and lock in profit, but I had too many stops on there as I kept dropping them on there and dropping them on there as it was going down. But anyway, I finally got out with 20 ticks. And let's see, after the 11:30 cutoff in the soybeans, I'll go take a look. Well, I'll take a look when we get there. Anyway, then it got really flat in here. Okay. There was a trade that I took somewhere. Trade that I took right here. I forgot to mark. Right there. That was my last trade of the day. I got long there, and I took 8 ticks profit up here. I took a break even right here. I wanted to wait until gold got out of this box to start trading it again, and it finally got out of the box over here. I missed this short. I took a break even there, and I got 8 ticks profit there. Okay. There was another chance to short it right in there. But, well, that was it. On gold, we were plus 28 ticks. Plus 28 ticks on gold. Now, on the YM. See, the YM also got into a nasty box here. And, let's see. Our first trade here on the YM was a break-even. Second trade was a break-even. Third trade I got 20 ticks profit on, and then I messed up getting out of the trade, and I ended up long when I didn't mean to be long, and so I just jumped out and took a 4-tick loss on that. So this was 20 and that was minus 4, so I ended up with plus 16 there. And that was it on the YM. It got into this nasty range in here, and I said I am not trading it until it gets out of the box. And then by the time it actually did get out of the box, I was wrapping up the live trading room this morning. The confirmation link. I am Catholic. It's funny. I had to get my confirmation with a whole bunch of, when I was about 30, I had to get it with a whole bunch of teenagers. Somehow I fell through the cracks. Alright, on crude. Well, crude right now is tanking, and we want to see it go all the way down to 65. Okay. Yeah, I've had, you know, the Catholics have all these different things like, baptism, First Communion, confirmation. I've had the last rites already too. All right, sorry. Crude oil, crude oil, crude oil. I am, but I almost wasn't when I was a boy. I was hit by a car, and I stopped breathing 3 times on the way to the hospital. Alright, so on crude, I missed a whole bunch of stuff in here this morning on crude. I finally took a trade over here, and I got a break even. Missed a couple in there, and there was one more break even trade that I took. This is my calling. There was one more break-even trade somewhere that I took. I don't know where it is. It might have been right here. But I know I took 2 trades on crude, and I made no money. Alright, and during the break, let's see, there was a long trade there, a long trade there, a short trade here, and there, but that one didn't go anywhere. And that was it on the crude oil. Alright, soybeans. You are right, John. Soybeans did have a nice move down at the 11:30 point. My first trade of the day, well, where I made any profit anyway, was on soybeans. I took a short right here and I got 8 ticks profit. That's where we got the goal for the day right there. Then the next one over here, we got 6 ticks profit, putting us at plus 14. And then a break even right in there. There was a short right here during the break, and another one right in here during the break. Okay. Now with the euro. Our first trade on the euro was right here, was a break even. Okay. Our next trade was right in here. I probably should have had my stop at break even, but it pulled back and stopped me out to the tick and then moved down. And then I had 2 more break even trades. And then it got pretty flat in here on the euro. And that was it. That was my day trading today. fantastic day it was. It wasn't as good as yesterday. Yesterday we were up over 800. But today we were up over 400, which is still good. So on the day, we were -8 on the euro, that's -$50. We were +16 on the YM, that's 80, so together we got +30. +28 on gold, that's 280, +30 is 310, +175 on the soybeans is $485 per contract. I do not do that, John. But if I did do that, there's other ways to do it without having to look at a larger time frame. But if I did do that, I would look at something like you know, like a 30-minute chart or something like that, and see, you know, obviously on a 30-minute chart we're in a downtrend. So if you're gonna weigh your 4-tick chart against the larger time frame says we're going down, and pretty much all the trades we took on soybeans today were short trades. You know, in the pre-market here there was an opportunity to get long, to get some nice movement on the long trade, but at that point in the day we were still in the larger time frame, we were still in a downtrend. Okay. Okay. All right. Spreadsheet. Where is it? Didn't I just go over this? I did just go over this, didn't I? Yeah. Okay, so we're up 45 today. On the month we're up 1747. On the year we're up 21,703. That's trading one contract, 2 hours per day. So if you do that, it's 83 days. Let's get my little calculator out here. 83 days. Well, we have 21,703. How many hours is 8? It's 2 hours per day. So that'd be 166 hours divided by 166. So I'm averaging $130 per hour with one contract. And now the fantastic thing about that is if I want my pay to go up to $260 an hour, I just add another contract. Isn't that wonderful? Okay. If you have not taken a free trial with us, just go here to apply.cfrn.net and fill out the little form. You could also just go here to our homepage at cfrn.net. In the right-hand column, put in your name, put in your email, click on register for a free trial, and when you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click the confirmation link. That spreadsheet, if you want to get to my spreadsheet, just go here to view live trading room results, click that, and to view our daily results spreadsheet today back to January 2nd of 2013, just click right there. Okay, and there you have it. Go down to the bottom. Okay, the bottom is where the current stuff is. And with that, I will stop the recording. And we can head back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix on the line.
Awesome. Awesome.
So, have you heard the story? I don't think this just came out today. I guess it came out yesterday. The deal on the artist formerly known as Prince. I guess he went back to calling himself Prince after a while. But did you hear?
I did not.
His team had requested emergency support from a leading addiction specialist just a day before he died. The specialist is Dr. Howard Cornfield, who lives in California. He was unable to make it from California to Minnesota immediately, but sent his son. In a strange turn of events, it was his son, Andrew Cornfield, who called police after joining Prince's staff to search for the missing singer. The Cornfield's lawyers said neither had met Prince before his death. William Mozzie told reporters on Wednesday that Prince's team contacted Dr. Howard Cornfield on the 20th of April, the day before Prince died. Unable to make it to Minnesota, the doctor dispatched his son and called a local doctor who cleared his morning schedule but never saw the singer. When Andrew Cornfield, who works with his father but is not himself a doctor, arrived at Prince's Paisley Park home, he was told the singer was missing. So he joined members of Prince's staff to search the property, and he made the emergency call when Prince's body was found. Mr. Mosey said the plan was to stabilize him in Minnesota before flying him to California to seek treatment at Dr. Cornfield's Recovery Without Walls Rehab Center in Mill Valley, California. The lawyer confirmed that Andrew Cornfield had been interviewed by police but was protected by Minnesota's Good Samaritan law. The law offers some legal protections to those who make emergency calls to encourage them to do so. No details have been released from Prince's autopsy exam, but investigators are looking into whether he died from an overdose and if a doctor was prescribing him drugs in the weeks before his death. They're also trying to establish whether a doctor was on the singer's plane when it made an emergency landing less than a week before he died. The musician was found unconscious on the plane after it stopped in Moline, Illinois on the 15th of April. Detectives investigating his death have asked to see fire and ambulance records related to the emergency landing. It emerged on Wednesday that emergency calls were made from the Paisley Park compound 46 times in the past 5 years. Now, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
911, 46 times in 5 years. A log released by authorities showed the 911 calls related to everything from medical emergencies to false fire alarms. It included one call in 2011 in which an unidentified woman said she was concerned about Prince's cocaine use, but no police action was taken. And they give us a little shot through the fence there of
I have the charts, Dwayne.
Paisley Park. Oh, I never took the charts back. I guess I better do that. Okay. So there's the little peek through the chain link fence. Now he died without a will. They say he was worth roughly $300 million. And he was, he went through that period where he wrote slave on his face, and he was very concerned about the music industry taking advantage of artists and not getting their fair share and all of that. And so for him to pass without having written a will seems a bit surprising. According to Minnesota law, I guess it'll have to go through probate, but eventually everything, including, there's a lot of new revenue being generated now because of the fact that, because he died. So everybody's downloading Prince songs, etc. So his family tree was a little unusual. I had an article on that earlier, but I don't have that up now. The other news that was quite interesting this week was a guy came forward and said, okay, I admit it, I'm the guy who started Bitcoin. Now today's news, and it all made really good sense, but now the Bitcoin founder says goodbye after presenting fake evidence. Craig Stephen Wright, the man claiming to be the mysterious Bitcoin founder, Satoshi Nakamoto, is abruptly withdrawing from public life. Wright posted today that he would offer no more evidence to prove his identity just days after he publicly claimed the Satoshi mantle in a series of coordinated articles. Wright's claims were greeted with intense skepticism from many in the Bitcoin community who saw Wright as a con man using the Satoshi identity for personal gain. Wright had a number of prominent supporters within the Bitcoin community, John Matonis and Gavin Andresen, who none of us probably know who they are, both of whom maintain unequivocally that Wright truly is Satoshi. As recently as yesterday, Wright had promised new evidence that would definitively prove his identity as Bitcoin's creator, writing that extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. Now, he had offered already proof that in articles a couple days ago said, well, this proves he had some kind of digital signature from the original Bitcoins when he first mined them. Anyway, Wright had pledged to transfer funds from one of Bitcoin's early blocks. While not definitive proof, that demonstration would have been by far the strongest evidence ever provided about Satoshi's true identity. But according to the latest message published on his personal site, Wright abruptly lost the courage to carry through with the demonstration, fearing it would lead to personal attacks against him. The message is reproduced in full. He says on his site, "I'm sorry. I believed that I could do this. I believed that I could put the years of anonymity and hiding behind me. But as the events of this week unfolded and I prepared to publish the proof of access to the earliest keys, I broke. I do not have the courage. I cannot. When the rumors began, my qualifications and character were attacked. When those allegations were proven false, new allegations have already begun. I know now that I am not strong enough for this. I know that this weakness will cause great damage to those that have supported me, and particularly to John Matonis and Gavin Andresen. I can only hope that their honor and credibility is not irreparably tainted by my actions. They were not deceived, but I know that the world will never believe that now. I can only say I'm sorry, and goodbye." Okay, back to the article. In broad strokes, there's reasons to be sympathetic with Wright's case. He appeared on the public stage against his will in December after leaked emails pointed to him as a possible Satoshi. The result was a new and apparently unwanted level of attention to his past business ventures, which showed plenty of irregularities but no hard evidence of anything more nefarious than tax problems. As Wright says, his qualifications and character really have been attacked, and there's no reason to think that would stop if he produced better evidence that in fact he is Satoshi. But in the past week, Wright has given us more reason than ever to doubt him. His early public demonstration looked like proof at first glance, but closer inspection revealed a duped signature string that seems to have been inserted as a deliberate attempt to mislead. Similar research turned up a set of backdated PGP keys after the first round of claims in December. At each stage, the evidence pointing to Wright as Satoshi has contained specific and deliberate falsifications Now that Wright is publicly claimed to be Satoshi, it's entirely plausible that he falsified the evidence himself. Throughout all of it, there has been a number of simple, concrete actions Wright could have taken to prove his identity: signing the Genesis block, signing a message with Satoshi's PGP key, or making a transaction with one of the many Bitcoin blocks linked to Satoshi. Wright has now disappeared without taking any of those steps, but generating as much attention as possible along the way. For skeptics, that behavior is exactly what you'd expect, and for those who believe him, it's harder than ever to explain. So what has this done to the price of a Bitcoin? Let's see if we can find a Bitcoin chart and take a look. Bitcoin chart history. Okay. Bitcoin price index. Okay. Let's see at what price we're trading. $447 per Bitcoin. Now this thing got up as high as $1,200. Bitcoin price index. What do we got? 447.61. Here it is at 449. When we first started talking about it on the show, there it is at $1,000 in 2014. 979.45. I was positive it was over 1,000 at some point. Perhaps I was wrong. Can't imagine that, but well, there you have it. The mad, mad world of Bitcoin. Is there anybody in the audience that owns a Bitcoin? Anybody ever go off the deep end and actually buy one?
Not me.
So did you already answer all these questions, Michael?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. Well, fair enough then. Let's go to our good word for the day. Then we'll take a look at some of the Concierge Trade Alerts from last night.
Excellent.
We started day before yesterday. I apologize for being out yesterday, and thanks to Michael for taking care of things. We started out with when God calls you, and it's different. A career is something you choose. A calling is something you receive. The question is when God calls, will you pick up the phone? 1 Corinthians 12:6. God works through different people in different ways. Skilled potters recognize that when they press clay, it presses back, giving them an indication of what it can and cannot become. Amateur potters often lack that discernment, and the end work proves it. When you don't honor your raw material, it can become your enemy. The word vocation comes from the Latin word for voice. Discovering your calling involves listening very carefully. If you close your ears and pursue something you're neither called nor equipped to do, you'll end up living with anxiety that whispers, you're trying to do something God didn't tell you to do. The courage to acknowledge what you're not brings great freedom. The lack of it imprisons you. Parker Palmer writes, you cannot choose your calling. You must let your life speak. Perhaps you were created to learn, and in so doing, to benefit others. If you are, you'll find yourself drawn to reading, reflecting, writing, and teaching. However, if you're convinced or allow others to convince you that you must be a corporate success in order for your life to count, you'll always be sawing against the grain of your life. Instead, learn to ride the horse in the direction it's going. Well, that makes good sense. Philosopher Mortimer Adler writes about brilliant minds called to sit at the table of what he terms the great conversation of the human race. Well, guess what? 99% of us will never sit at that table. But we can look forward to the commendation. Well done, good and faithful servant. Matthew 25:21. That God promised to those who hear his call, accept it, and devote their lives to fulfilling it. Now, we've talked about this so many times on the show. What did God create you for? What purpose? What divine destiny were you created for? We've always said, if you don't know, ask. Go to that quiet place, wherever that quiet place is for you, and ask. Now, ask doesn't mean to go on and on about it. Ask means to ask and listen. I've always said prayer should be 10% you talking and 90% you listening. Sometimes we don't want to stop talking because we're afraid if we do, we won't like what we hear. Because what we were created for, our divine destiny, our divine purpose, might not line up with our desires of the flesh. So that leads to a sense of disappointment, a lack of satisfaction, no true peace. Only when we are fulfilling that which God called and created us to do, only then will we know true peace. So I encourage you today, if God's calling, answer the phone, pick it up, say, how can I help you? What did you create me for? I want to know what it's like to lead a fulfilled life. The good news is he'll tell you. He'll share it with you. It's not a secret. He wants you to know. He wants you to listen so that he can share with you whatever it is. That's our good word for the day. When God calls for you, be ready. We'll finish up part 3 tomorrow. Okay, S&P 500 Emini Futures. Now, we're still looking at last week's weekly trading zones. 60-61 just so happens, and this happens occasionally, and I've seen it happen more often of late than not. It's something to do with the nature of what the market's setting up and getting ready to do. 60-61 was the zone last week and again this week. And overnight, you can see where we hit 60.61. Yesterday, 60.61. Now let's go back to Sunday night on Globex. When we opened, that's Friday's close and that's Sunday's open. Okay, so there's 60.61. Now, the zone above did not change by much. It dropped to 73.74. Very odd week. Now look at how flat we've been over the course of the week. Today's already Thursday. We did sell off, pulled back to the 60.61, but we've done nothing more than that. I mean, below us we have another zone, and that's down at, well, we've already passed this one, 47. $46. So it overshot it a little bit, consolidated right below it, and then back to 60.61. That thing's just been like a magnet. So from the open Sunday night, we ran up to the zone overhead, 73.74. And these guys will just get out of the way because those are not in play this week, at least not yet. Now we'll take a look at our daily chart again that we had a look at the other day. Because remember, we can sell off tremendously, and because we've been in such a continuous uptrend, a 38% retracement. I'll show it to you in just a second. As soon as we go to that chart, I just want to last night the alerts went out at 21:15. So we're going to drop a line at 20:30. Okay. And the idea was to buy 53.25. Right there. $20.53.25. Come on. Here we go. So on this first pass up, I mean, look at how quiet the market was. These are 30-minute candles. And we practically went nowhere. Here, we can make it look like more. We could stretch it out. So we ran right up to the zone. Do we hit it to the tick? To the tick, 2060. So from 53.25. See, 54, that would have been 6 points. So 6.75. Now on the sell side, we were looking to sell 42.75. Didn't happen. No sell opportunity there. But we had this first move up, a substantial move up off of 20.53 1/4, and it took us up to 56.75. So that's a 3-point move. 3+. And then important prices, important areas, almost always testing. And so there's 3+, 6 3/4, and then we make another dip below, and up we go again. This time we make it to 55 1/4. So from 53 1/4 to 55 1/4, that one was exactly 2 points. And then I think we had another one here that probably went exactly 2. Nope, that one didn't go quite 2. That went 1 3/4. Now this big move came not the beginning of the move. Let me check the time on this chart. Yeah, make sure it's Eastern. So I created some new charts, and I've got to make sure that I put them all on Eastern. So the first move happened right before the London Open, and then we pulled back in to the trigger, and the big run, 6 3/4 points. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at the YM. But first, before we take a look at the YM, I want to take a look real quick at the, oh, this was the, well, we'll fix it. We'll go daily. And we'll go ES. We'll straighten it out. There we go. Okay. So from this double bottom here that we were talking about a couple days ago, when we drew this from the swing low to the swing high, we're getting closer to that 24% retracement, but the 38, that would bring us down to 1988. Nothing wrong with that. This uptrend, as long as we don't break the 50 and the uptrend is still intact, and those who understand Fibonacci, this 62% retracement lines up right here with this high. And this area right here where we got the bullish cross, that's a key area. Hang on one second, guys. Okay, sorry about that. So just wanted to be in perspective so that if we get down to this area, this 1988, don't think the sky is falling. Think that the opportunity for a position to ride this thing back up to the swing highs at 2107, because at every one of these levels, every trader, every big trading desk money manager, fund, you name it. They're all watching this. This Fibonacci, it's not a secret. Been around a long time. They'll be buying support here, and here, and here, and probably even here, okay? So just be ready at those levels if you're trading the S&P. Have an idea as you go into the day where we stand in this bigger picture daily chart, all right? Okay. All right, let's go to the 1 a.m. to the Dow. Okay. Now, we said that went out at 20. The alerts actually went out at 21:15. So we'll put this at 21:30. There we go. That's 15 minutes to open the envelope. And then we're looking to buy 17,630. Boy, this is going to look so much like the S&P. It's amazing how they trace out each other's steps. Now, don't waste any time or money trying to figure out which one's going to move first, okay? Because that money could be better spent somewhere else. I don't know where. Anywhere you want. All right. So I dropped it at the beginning of the 21:30 half hour. It was during this candle, 21:15, we sent the alerts out. So price tags the trigger, and then it does the same thing as the S&P. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. All right, then we put in a swing high. We get up to 57. So 27 points. And then we put in a swing high at 82. And that would be 52 points. The Dow pays $5 per point, so you need 20 points. And then same thing again over here. We have these small run-ups where we go from 30 up to 46. So that's 16. And then here we run up to 60. So that's 30. And the last one took us up to 44, which would be 14. And then no trigger on the short side. Okay. All right. Let's go here. Last night on the Russell, we were looking to buy 1115. Which transpired. I better draw a line. Maybe even a straight line. Okay. So 1115. Okay, so we barely triggered it and we pulled back and You know, we put in a swing high at 17, and then we finally made it up to 18. So that was all of a 3-point move from 11.15, all of this to get up to 11.18. That's still $300 per contract. Now that's what the market made available. Of course, we don't get out at the swing high or the swing low. Why? Because we trail our stop. And so on the way back down, we're going to get out less than 300 per contract. All right. On the sell side with the Russell, we're looking to sell 11.10. We got down to a swing low of 11.08. Here's 11.10 right here. So we hit 11.08 twice. So there was two opportunities for $200 per contract on the short side. No big moves, just, I mean, all of this is inside of what happened yesterday from 7:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., looks like. I mean, look at the YM. Look at how quiet it is. If we do this, see? Something's about to happen. We'll be here to tell you all about it. All right. Let's see if we can go to crude oil. Get a clear picture on crude. Okay. So we got to go 21.30. Put things in perspective. Okay. All right. 21.30. Crude oil. Looking to buy 44.75. That ought to be about right here. Actually, a little lower. Important prices, important areas, almost always tested. Really? There we go. 44.75. Oh, come all the way over here. Yep. Yep. We got a 5-tick move. Now, you didn't lose a lot if you put your stop in the right place. Okay? Now, price pulls back, gives you a nice place to put your stop, and we run up to 45.31. All right, so on crude, 44.75, 45.31. That's 25 and 31. Yeah. Okay, so 56 ticks. That's a $560 per contract move, okay, from stem to stern. Of course, on this pullback, that's where you're gonna. Now this little beauty here gets right below the trigger by how much? Gets down to 44.68. So it gets 7 ticks below the trigger. I should write the trigger price on there for you. 44.75. All right. 44.75. So this moves good for 56 ticks. Now the next one, 44.75 to 45.75. That's $1,000 per contract. A $1 move in crude is $1,000 to you if you're on the right side of the trade. Got 8 ticks below the trigger. Beautiful place to put your stop. And it went beyond the $1,000 per contract mark. Now, once you've worked your way up to, I don't know, 3 or 4 contracts, then that certainly gives you something to talk about at the dinner table, unless you don't consider it polite in your household to talk about money at the table. And some people don't, and that's okay. All right, swing high was 45.15. So we got 25, 35. We got 40 ticks right there. Okay, so crude was gracious to the upside. There we go. Long 44.75. Now, the short side stays in play until the new alerts come out tonight. And we're just about there. I'm going to show you. Short side, we're looking for a move below 44.25. Question is, where's your stop? Think about it. Think about what I've showed you, taught you. Okay. 44.25. You got to ask yourself, is that risk appropriate for you, or do you want to let this first leg go? Because you know what it's going to do, because that's what markets do. You're going to get a leg and a retracement. You're going to get a leg and a retracement, and then you're going to get a leg. That next leg could come over here somewhere. You follow me? Down, back up, set your stop, and go. Just like I show you in the weekly partner workshops, just like I show you whenever we're in a one-on-one mentoring session. Let's see if it makes it. All right, moving right along. Let's go to the NQ. NQ. Now, I know these zones here have not been updated, I don't think, in more than a week. So let's see if we can make some sense out of this. Swing high here, 43.44. We do have a zone this week at 43. 43.42. $43.41. Somebody asked me last week, they said, I noticed that there have been weeks when there was a 5-point zone, and other weeks it would be a 1-point zone. And so we talked about that at some length, and I decided that I had been testing back and forth And I came to the conclusion that a 5-point zone was just was too wide. And 1 point seemed a little narrow, but as you can see, sometimes it's just right. So below 43.42, what do we have this week? 42.94, 95. Okay, so we're pinging back and forth between these two zones here. Earlier in the week, we put in a high up at 43. Is that 59? So we don't have a zone there. We have a zone 43. $80.81. Isn't that amazing? And I know I didn't put these in this week. So across all the markets, we're seeing similar behavior in the indices. 43.80/81. Okay. This just take out because it's not relevant to anything that we got going this week. All right, and then 41.42. Okay. And then down here at 42.94.95. All right, and then we go back to the Sunday night Globex Open, which was right there. So we consolidated at this zone, made a run for the zone, missed it by, what, a point? Point and a half. Back down, consolidation, and then we oscillate. One of these guys will get below and above and below. It's like a center of gravity. Price wants to hang on to it. And then we drop and we hit 94.95, which is this week's zone, back up to 41.42, which is this week's zone. And now we're on our way back down to 94.95, which is this week's zone. Now, last night, okay, we're looking to buy 43.25. Things triggered quick last night. Sometimes it's all the way up to the London Open, sometimes even the New York Open before we see a trigger. But it was in this 30-minute period that the alerts went out, 21:15. And then I put the line at 21:30 because you got to have time to get your email, open the envelope, take a look at the chart, decide what you're going to do. If you took the trade, there was no danger of being stopped out. And it took you up to, let's write it down, NQ 43.25. And of course, we always know that when we have a zone overhead, and if you're a partner, you know you got a zone there. You knew this. You knew the zone was there Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. From 43.25 up to 41, it's points. We got 35, so we got 16 points. All right, so 16. Times $20 per point. I think I even spelled it right. Okay. Now, on the downside, let's take a look at that. 43.13. Okay. We can do it. All right, 43.13. Okay. All right. 43.13 down to 43.02 and a quarter. Let's just call it 43.03, right? Why not? Simple math. 10 points. How many points do you need? On the NQ, because it pays $20 a point, you only need 5 points if you're trading the 2420 blueprint. If your goal's $100 per contract per day. What did I say that was? 10? Yeah, because we rounded it up. 43.03. Okay. So we got 10. Now, price closes here, opens here, runs back up, gets above the trigger, runs back down here. So that's probably about another 8 points. And it gets back above the trigger and it runs back down. And that's going to be 6 points. And then we get back above the trigger, back down again. We really look like we're heading for this 94.95, but let's just clock it where it is right now. 42.99 and a quarter. Is that right? No. $42.97. So let's just call that 4,300. I guess we better call it 42.98. We'll make that 12 so far, but we can see where it's headed. Question is will it continue beyond that? If I were short at this point, I would be taking my profit. Remember, 5 points times 20, that gives you your goal for the day per contract. So this is 12. Oh, wait a minute. So how is this 10? Because I rounded it up. Okay. Here, let's watch it. It's going to hit the zone right here. Not only is it just the zone, it's also where the low was put in earlier in the week. In fact, it is the low of the week. All right. Well, we can't sit here and watch it forever, but we should have some buying support here. Why? Well, because the last time buyers had the opportunity to pay this price, look at the move. Zone to zone to zone. packed the week has been. We're from zone to zone to zone. Down to the zone. Up to the zone. And now back to the zone. See a little wick there? Getting a little bounce as we hit the zone. Okay. All right. Keep this show moving. Gold. Take me to the gold. Now, I saw a headline yesterday, oh, the rally in gold's over. Well, don't be so quick to buy into that. Maybe short term, but it's up. We're up 21% on the year. I think that was the number I saw this morning. Okay, here's gold. Here's 2130. And what we were looking to do was buy 1281 and be sellers at 78. Buyers at 81, sellers at 78. Here's our 81 with multiple opportunities. Now keep in mind, the alert was sent out in this 30-minute period, quarter past 21:30. That's giving everybody 15 minutes to open their envelope. And so we get a swing high initially of 84. So that's 36 ticks or $360 per contract. Everyone's, with the exception of the NASDAQ, everyone's been better served this week in the commodities, more so than in the indices. And then we come back up again because why? Important prices, important areas. You know the deal. From 1281 we hit, oh gosh, 88.40. So it's 74 ticks at $10 a tick, $740 per contract. Okay. Now on the sell side, we didn't have much space between them. We were looking to sell 78. And whenever they're that close, you gotta be a little cautious. Doesn't mean there isn't a trade, but you just gotta be a little cautious. This first drop down from 78, let me write that down. 1278. Okay, 1278. All right, the swing low was 76.30. So that's $170 per contract, or 17 ticks. Okay, and then not much here. From 78, we got down to 77.1. Nine ticks. So far, the mover with a nice little stop right there. We've actually made it down to 73.80. Oh, it's 74. So we got 42 ticks there. Not that these other ones didn't have something in them. They did. 78 to 76. So there's 200 there and 200 there and 200 there. All right, we're just about done. Let's go to bonds. Here's the bonds. 2130. Okay. Looking to buy 64.24. And then on the sell side, 63.13. That didn't happen. Okay, so we just had this one trigger. Well, we triggered and then we got back below the trigger and we took off again. So from 164.24 24. $165.08. There's 32 ticks to a point. So 24 to 32, that's 8 and 8. So you got 16 ticks total in that move. It's 32 ticks to a point. $31.50 times 32 is $1,000 per contract. $16 is half of 32, so that's going to be a $500 move. Okay. On the downside, again, 163.13. There's no trading there, and so that's what we had on the bonds, about a $500 per contract move. Okay. All right, last but not least, let's go to the beans. And the beans in this new contract have been quite active. All right. We wanted to buy 1039. $10.39, nice straight line. Okay, for $10.39, I actually put in a high at $47.50. From 39, $10.39. Now we'll call it 8. Now this is very much like the S&P, $50 per point. In this case it's a penny, and the S&P it's a point. The S&P there's 4 ticks to a point. Here you got 4 ticks to a penny. Okay? So this is the same as 8 points in the S&P. $50 per point. So this is a $400 per contract move. On the sell side, We were looking to sell 1030. Like I said, the commodities have fared much better this week than the indices. There's something weird about the indices. I can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe I should take my gloves off. 1030. Okay. So as you can see, the alert was to sell 1030. And if you sold 1030, the outcome was bracing, to say the least. Put in a swing low down at 1030 or 1012 and a half. So from 30 to 10 would have been 20. So what do we got? 17 and a half points. Now remember, that's $50 per point. We saw in the last soybean contract before we rolled into July. Man, this might have been the range of a whole week in the last contract. This has been an extraordinary contract. It has renewed my faith in the humble bean. Jake, my ninja chart has the decimal moved over by 2. Not sure if that matters, or do I have the wrong chart? David's comment, this funky behavior lately and now this drop may be revealing a further big drop. David, I think I really, without saying it, I think you're right. I'm glad you said it for me. Now, Jake, my Ninja Bean chart has the decimal moved over by 2. You know, there is an issue on some charts with things like the euro and with, do I have anybody in the audience trading soybeans on a Ninja chart? See if we can help Jake get his decimal point set up right. Now, Jake, are you on the N contract? CSN? Or they actually do it different over there, don't they? N is for July, so you would actually be on ZS7? Tell me what your contract is that you're using. Okay, if you're on ZS7, 16, then you should be on the right chart. Now, your decimal point, where I've got 1044, okay, hang on one second, Tom, and I'll go over your question with you a little bit. Jake says I've got 1044.00. Is there anybody here in the audience using Ninja to trade soybeans? You know, probably, Jake, the best thing to do, because if you call Bert and Leslie, they're not that Ninja knowledgeable. Why don't you call the support desk over at Ninja Trader? If Michael was here, he could tell you for sure. Seems like I remember when I first set my charts up long time ago with DT Pro. It seems like I had to do something to shift that decimal point over. trying to remember what it is. Let me ask you a question. Bring up your DOM for a second, okay? And see if your DOM looks like anything like that. Now, do those decimals carry over exactly the same on your charts, or does your DOM look more like my DOM? Because at the moment, it doesn't appear that we have anybody in the audience trading soybeans on Ninja. Okay, the decimal is the same as your chart. Okay. Let's just take a look here. Hey, Bert, would you by any chance be hanging around out there? See if he responds. I'm amazed that there's nobody trading beans. Probably because last month was so poor on beans. All right. Well, we'll get you an answer, Jake, if we have to call. In fact, maybe as soon as the show's over. Yeah, the price line's up, but the decimal's different. Yeah. Are you in demo? Or are you live? Okay, if you're live, I was going to tell you to take a test trade here and see what happens, but if you're in the live account, I don't want you to do that. I want you to call first, okay, and make sure. I think they're going to tell you. Honestly, it's been so long since I had to do it. I don't remember. So I apologize. I couldn't be of better help. Bert's tied up. He can't pop in right now. And so let me scroll back up here and see what I know. Tom, you had a couple. Had some questions. Let's see if I can. I acknowledge and appreciate your work with the zones, but it's apparent to me that trading these zones requires a plan. Most work, some do not, in any signal trading, but given your very good signals in trading zones, some will prosper, a few will be marginally profitable, others will fail. I really am beginning to realize that money management is the key. Well, it depends upon, Tom, how you use the zones. Very few people are able to, well, I don't want to say very few people. I should rephrase it. Some people do very well just simply trading zone to zone. I do believe the majority of traders simply use the zones as a backdrop to their trading. And we talk a lot about that in the live trading room. If price is headed into, if price is rising into a weekly trading zone in the S&P, we won't take that trade, because if it's a zone overhead, we expect that to be good resistance. Just as if price is falling, we won't take that trade if it's falling into a zone, because we expect that zone to be good support. Now, your comment about, I'm beginning to realize money management is the key. I agree with you to the point of ringing a bell. That really, really is critical. Whether you use the zones to trade zone to zone, or whether you use them simply as a backdrop. Because as we saw, I mean, there'll be times when, I must have been on a different NQ. This one? Yeah. I mean, there'll be times when price turns right at the zone, comes down and turns right at the zone. But there'll be other times when you get a little bit of an overshoot. And then there'll be times when you get this. You don't quite make it. Zones are an area, okay? You can almost put like a 2-point buffer zone around them, you know, and consider that entire, it's just like Fibonacci. Fibonacci gives you an exact decimal point number on the chart, but yet they remain an area, okay? It can get real close to the 38% retracement and not quite touch it, turn around and go. Same thing here. Now, this is an unusual, it's not that unusual because it happens. The zone becomes like a center of gravity. Below, above, below, above, below. This time when it can't make it back above, that gives you kind of a heads up that we're going down. And then when we pull up here, it can't quite make the zone and put in this doji. That opens the door for this drop. But it still doesn't touch the zone. There's a lot of back and forth over here. And then you get this picture perfect stuff where you go to the tick, to the tick. So I do believe that the majority of traders will use zones as a backdrop to their trading, not to specifically trade zone to zone, although there are traders who do specifically trade zone to zone. So with that said, if there's any way I can help you additionally with that, please let me know. Also, I would like to request Jake, after you make that phone call, would you please let us know tomorrow, maybe in the live trading room, but specifically on the show tomorrow, let us know what you found out about soybeans and about this decimal point, and if it ultimately makes a difference. Now Neil says, thank you, Neil. I'm on Ninja in my demo for a beans trade, and the DOM shows 1250 a tick. But on the charts, a DOM column, it shows the decimal point over 2 slots from the right. Alan asks, is 2046, 2047, the lowest zone for the week. No, it's not, Alan. There is below that 2032/33, and below that 2009/2010. And with this pressure, I think there's a possibility we might see one of those. I really do. So Jake, you're not going to be here tomorrow? Okay. Well, let's listen to what Neil just said. I'm on Ninja and in my demo for a beans trade. The DOM shows 1250 a tick, but on the charts and the DOM column, it shows the decimal point over 2 slots from the right. 2 slots from the right. So that would be here. I think what that's telling you is that's just the way Ninja factors it, but it's still 1250 a point. And Jake, that's what beans are supposed to pay, is 1250 a point. So Neil's confirming 1250 a tick. I know on mine it's going to be 1250 a tick. So do that, Jake, and just, even if it's on Friday, whenever you're back in again, let us know. And Neil, thank you for sharing that with us, okay? Alan H, did you get those zones? 32, 33, and 09/10. You got it? Got it. All right, guys. That's going to do it, all right? I'll leave the ES chart up. And I got to get ready for some mentoring sessions. Okay. Now, the next zone down. Put this here, it's going to look weird. Yep, I got to fix that thing. What do I want to do? How do I want to fix that? I want to change that to dashes. Yeah. And I want to change the color to gray. Oh. Why don't I go the long way around the mountain, huh? Why not double click this? Save as default. Close. Gosh, that was sure easier. So the next zone down is 32, 33. In 2009, 2010, way down here. Now, depending upon the news that's going to come out tomorrow, and let's take a peek and see what that's going to be. While this seems very, very far away at this point, we could, if we can break through this today, we might see this in today's session, and then that only leaves this for tomorrow's session if the market is serious about heading higher. I mean, look how hard it tried. Every one of these red candles was an attempt to go lower, and as soon as it popped right back up. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. Just keeps popping back to the surface. So let me get a look real quick. We'll look at it together. For those of you who don't know where to go to get your economic news, this one works really well for me. We used to write for them, but we haven't in a long time. Economic calendar. Tomorrow, well, let's see if there's anything late tonight. Nothing high impact. Okay, let's go to tomorrow. Three heads, that's high impact. All right, tomorrow morning we got non-farm payrolls before Wall Street opens, 8:30. That is a mover and a shaker. Then we got the unemployment rate, also at 8:30. Now, both of those have the ability to move the market substantially higher, move the market substantially lower, and then dump it right back in the same spot where we started. Just saying. Is there any other high impacts after that? Canada's IV PMI. That really, it's a high impact, but outside of Canada, I haven't seen it move the markets too much. We have nothing late Friday night. I will go to this week just to check Saturday morning. Saturday morning, there it is, high impact, okay? Saturday morning, Saturday night at 22:20, trade balance between China and the U.S. This is a huge, huge number that's going to come out. Now, why is this such a big deal? The trade balance measures the difference in value between imported and exported goods and services over the reported period. A positive number indicates that more goods and services were exported than imported. A higher than expected reading should be taken as positive, bullish for China, while a lower than expected reading should be taken as negative or bearish for the Chinese currency. Okay, so this thing, you know, it could come in flat. It could come in as forecast. This was the previous number. This is the forecast number, and this was the latest release, April 13th. So let's shockwave. Who needs it? I don't. All right. What did I do? Go this week? This week. Come on. All right. Trade balance. Okay, the forecast number for the trade balance is 40. Previous number was 29. So that's a big number. That's a high hope. If those expectations get dashed, when will we see the effects of it? We will not see the effects of it until Sunday night when Globex opens. Okay? It doesn't mean it's not having an effect. It just means we won't see the effects until Sunday night. Okay? All right. We got all the questions covered. I'll see those of you who have appointments this afternoon. I'll leave you with the S&P E-mini chart. Keep in mind these two zones are below. We have found support at the same spot we found it earlier in the week. Price could do this, pop up, and that could give us our leg down. It could end up looking like this, followed by this. Do I send out an email for the what, JT? I'm glad you asked. When you sign up for a mentoring session, about 5 minutes before your mentoring session, check your email box. There'll be a link inside of there'll be an email from me, from support@cfrn.net, or from me. It'll be from one of us. You'll have an email from CFRN. The subject line will say CFRN mentoring session. Okay. Then all you have to do is click that link. You won't need a password because you're the only person that's going to have that link because it's a private meeting. Now, when you originally sign up, you'll get a confirmation email that says you're locked and loaded. That space, that 45-minute slice of time is yours, okay? But then just about 5 minutes before it's time for your appointment, I send you the actual link that you're going to click to join the meeting, okay? All right. Guys, going to run. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell. Late development here. Now with the S&P declining, I would not be surprised that the Dow's declining. So from 42.75, we got down to a swing low of 39. Well, we'll just call it 40. How about that? So that's a 2 3/4 point move, just whoosh, straight through it. Now, ideally, what I'd like to see is I'd like to see this thing pop up, get above the trigger. We might go all the way back to the zone and then come down. But we could better position our stop loss if we don't go all the way to the zone. If we just kind of pop up here, get above the trigger, and then come back down. That way we can have a tiny stop loss We'll know right away if we're on the right side of the street or not. Know that price fought really hard to get through this zone. Okay? You look at, these are all half-hour candles. Look at what happened. Now, the next stop is here, but that's not the end of the road. Okay? This isn't a prediction that we'll be here tomorrow. However, based on historical observance, since we started keeping records on December 14th of 2009, price will close tomorrow at 2009 or above. Since I know that, I should probably do one of those binary things. I don't know how to do those. I've played around with them once, but anyway, it seemed a little like gambling, but there must be a way to do some technical analysis and actually put it in your favor. I don't know. Huh. Because I'm going to guess that the odds, and I think that's what they call them, because again, it's kind of like betting. I'm not knocking it. I don't fully follow it, but I would say that the payoff, like, that would seem like a pretty safe bet to say that tomorrow we're going to close above 2009. Yeah. So you might have to pay, $100 to make 50. Nah, I don't like that so much. But what do I know? I'm just a guy with a chart, some indicators, radio. I get the radio fixed too. All right, love you guys. Have a great afternoon. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.